Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Britt's master plan and the reason she's still alive could finally be revealed by the General Hospital mystery man. Veteran actor Mark Forget will play Pascal in the penultimate episode of General Hospital. He is a mysterious character who might eventually reveal the details of the back from the dead Britt's grand scheme. What's going on with Britt? So far, we know that Britt is working on Professor Dalton's cold fusion research and appears to be his supervisor. How did we arrive at that logical conclusion? Would a co-worker have the right to protest that the files she got from him were disorganized? In fact, we guess so. We constantly complain to one another, albeit affectionately, here at soaps.com. Still, Britt seemed to be in charge of everything. Additionally, there was the way the evil Sidwell informed Dalton that their friend was not pleased with his lack of advancement. It seemed as though their friend had some influence. It's still unclear where Britt would have received any authority. Maybe she found out off-screen that her late father, one of the most notorious villains in soap opera history, had left her some. A quick look at her bizarre past will reveal that she is also crafty in her own right. Was Britt's death a fake? It doesn't seem possible that Britt would have staged her death so that her mother, Albrecht, would have to endure the pain of grieving. But perhaps Britt believed that she might one day be able to relieve her mother's pain by coming up alive and well and having cured a sickness on top of it, provided the study was significant enough and had the potential to cure her and others of Huntington's illness. Who's the new guy? Forget, who was born in Canada, has an extensive resume that dates back to the late 1990s. Grey's Anatomy and Law & Order, SVU are two shows where you could have already seen him. Spoilers for General Hospital, Jason hates this character. Nobody should be surprised by this, but it appears that Jason Morgan has a lot of enemies in the made-up town of Port Charles on General Hospital. Jason hates this character. There is a lot of conjecture that Jason dislikes Dr. Albrecht, and for good cause. This, particularly the fact that she imprisoned Robin and prevented her from seeing her family for more than a year. Additionally, Jason crosses boundaries with some individuals who have wronged him in the past, even if he has an alliance with Carly Spencer, Michael Corinthos, and Sonny Corinthos. Indeed, some will argue that Jason holds everything against Ava and Nina since Carson despises them, but he doesn't judge anyone by their behavior if he weren't present, such as Britt and Liesel. Fans of General Hospital naturally express their opinions on social media. They certainly had their opinions. Spoilers for General Hospital, Jason doesn't like D.O. Some people posted on social media that Jason only cares for Jason. He isn't even concerned that Sonny killed his brother. The writers have softened Albrecht so much that they tend to forget the horrible things she did when she first appeared on the show. Another critic commented, "I feel like rewritten history is that she has always been bitchy and did what she wants, but that awful stuff she did is forgotten." Another comment read, water under the bridge, that's how these writers operate with everyone. Additionally, Jason isn't really one to retain grudges, in my opinion, and they don't like to delve into the past unless it's handy to introduce a new character or plot element. And as though he has a moral compass, spoilers, do Marty and Lucy have a chance? The supporters are holding on to hope. According to General Hospital teasers, Lucy Coe and Marty Gray are winning hearts with their light-hearted banter after the explosive aftermath of Willow Corinthos and Drew Quartermain's wedding, and Port Charles is teeming with romantic prospects this summer. Fans are bursting with anticipation for a Marty and Lucy reunion after they haven't spoken much since Marty's sudden departure from town, which was caused by Lucy's heartbreaking liaison with Scott Baldwin. This week, they finally had a meaningful chat. Can they rekindle their spark, though, or will chaos smother it as fresh drama and old scars whirl around them? Indulge in a week filled with captivating drama. Following the upheaval of Willow's wedding blow-up over Drew's affair with Nina Reeves, Lucy and Marty's playful reunion at the chapel has viewers drooling. Some saw Marty's return to town after going missing following Lucy's betrayal with Scott as fate, but they didn't exactly immediately resume their friendship or romance. Last but not least, their repartee at the altar, which is reminiscent of their previous chemistry, conceals underlying hurt. We're getting butterflies just thinking about whether Marty's scars and time away will keep them apart or if Lucy's charm can heal his damaged heart. Is this a new beginning or a passing phase? A new beginning is threatened by old wounds. Lucy may soon corner Marty, their banter turning serious as they confront the issue at hand, her actual role in the hay with Scott that broke Marty's heart years ago. Imagine Lucy attempting to regain trust while Marty vacillates between caution and forgiveness, her eyes sparkling yet uneasy. While some fans seem to envision a romantic path, others worry that it could be derailed by Scott's persistent off-screen presence or outside interference, such as Tracy Quartermaine. With that degree of meddling, Lucy and Marty's reunion is in jeopardy. Can the past be healed? Will Lucy and Marty rekindle their love? Fans are holding out hope for a romantic comeback and are eager to watch this renewed bond unfold. Will their light-hearted banter result in another opportunity, or will past betrayals, such as Lucy's affair with Scott or Marty's fabrications about his ex's participation in the beauty market, which disrupted Deception's creation of the Deceptor, keep them apart? The odds appear to be against GH fans' hopes of a Marty and Lucy reunion. Do you think that this couple will ever get along again? Britt's mystery man and Jack's bombshell. Jocelyn and Vaughn receive a shocking revelation from Jack Brennan on the upcoming GH. Their objective has evolved. Since the WSB has set its sights on a new, unidentified target, they are no longer pursuing Professor Dalton. Fans can anticipate that Vaughn and Jocelyn Jacks will be the subject of a shocking revelation from Jack Brennan. Britt Westbourne encounters an enigmatic individual. Felicia Scorpio also makes an effort to counsel Lucas Jones. Jack Brennan's bombshell. Let's begin with Jack, who is scheduled to meet with Jocelyn and Vaughn. Professor Henry Hank Dalton is no longer the main target, the WBS boss will inform the agents. Although Joss is surprised, is Britt the new target? Perhaps they believe she is in charge, but it appears to be a mystery man. Speaking about Britt Westbourne, she answers the door to find an unexpected visitor. This is most definitely not Liesl Albrecht or Jason Morgan. Britt might be undercover, I wonder. That would undoubtedly account for her death faking, and it could also account for her own mother's ignorance. I don't think Britt would be forced to do anything dodgy by death or prison when she already has a deadly diagnosis. But that would be another matter entirely if Britt's loved ones were under danger. According to Anna Devane's Discovery General Hospital teasers, Jason will tell Anna Devane about himself. The right-hand man of Sonny Corinthos has already left for Albrecht and Carly Spencer. Because to Elizabeth Baldwin's support, Jason has taken an intriguing turn. Jason is on his way now that it has been verified that Britt's cremation is not shown on the death certificate. Will Jason's arrival undermine whatever plan Britt is working on, or may he wind up saving her? Felicia is also seen attempting to steer Lucas in the proper direction in the preview footage. Gio Palmieri is informed by Emma Scorpio Drake that she brings backup. Asking someone what happened, Christina Corinthos Davis seemed frightened. Furthermore, Sonny queries, "What conduct are you referring to? I'm curious whether anyone talks to Sonny about Willow Tate's behavior." Although Sonny is not a mental health specialist, he has personal experience with the spiral out of control. Given the kids at the heart of this chaos, Sonny may be able to offer some guidance to his son. As they entered the silent hallway behind Carly's office, Lucas followed her, his voice piercing and relentless. "When did you start leaving me in the middle of a fight?" he snapped, his eyes brimming with annoyance. Carly carefully turned to face him while holding onto the edge of her office door. She spoke in a clipped tone. "Because I won't broadcast our family drama in the Metro Court lobby. That place is mine." Lucas sneered, "I can't afford to act out in front of paying customers." He groaned and wiped his face. "Yeah, well, perhaps you should be more concerned about who you're protecting instead." All right. By bringing up Morgan, I went too far. Reopening wounds was not my intention. However, you're not seeing the wider picture. Your unquestioning devotion to Sonny? Everything has been poisoned by it. Carly's eyes narrowed. He is the father of Lucas, one of my children. That's significant. Sidwell was the one who almost killed Christina in that fire, as you are well aware. Lucas tightened his jaw, saying, "That man lit the match, not Sonny." Nevertheless, Sonny set up his own son as a target in order to reach him. As you and I both know, Julian pursued Sonny first. Tell me how that makes him the virtuous one in all of this. He never was innocent, Carly retorted. Lucas' voice became low, simultaneously sorrowful and indignant. Only Sonny's account of events is available to us. He gets to write the conclusion every time. However, my father's blood was shed. You caused me to spend years justifying Sonny. Even though I knew deep down that it wasn't right, I kept siding with you. Carly's voice faltered. That night, Sonny had the opportunity to murder Marco. Lucas looked at her as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he didn't. And you want me to give him credit for saving my boyfriend? Is that our current situation? That you genuinely believe that to be mercy? His voice wavered. You're not even aware of it, are you? Lucas hurried out of the office, slamming the door behind him, without waiting for her answer. You've been in Sonny's world so long you don't see how warped it's become. In the meantime, Sonny stood with his arms folded across his chest, staring at the younger guy with unexpected composure in the clinical silence of Marco's hospital room. Sonny stated, I want to make something very clear. You are not the source of my issue. I promise you that if you stay out of your father's affairs, nothing bad will happen to you. Marco arched an eyebrow. That isn't feasible. I'm his lawyer. My business is his business. Sonny took a slow step forward. Then just discuss legal matters. The sections that are clean. I'm telling you, it would be better for everyone if you packed your bags and returned to Miami. No one is saying you can't represent him. Marco crossed his arms in defiance. I'm not going anywhere. Sonny's eyes darkened. Then you're endangering yourself. However, if you're staying, we'll need to figure out how to live without shedding blood. Marco paused, then changed the subject. Everyone believes you are to blame for my mom's demise. Sonny's expression wavered. Do you belong to that group? Marco let out a slow exhale. Yes, initially. However, now. I can see things more clearly now that I've had time to reflect and breathe. My mother was drowning in stress. She reached for the bottle as usual. I'm also beginning to think she may have taken something else. Pills. She didn't want to die, in my opinion. Sonny nodded and said, I believe she made a terrible error. Natalia was a combative person. Marco, she adored you. That's what she told me. She expressed her sadness for the barrier between you two in one of her final words to me. Marco looked down. I also regret it. And it's too late now. Lucas walked into the room at that moment and froze when he saw Sonny standing there. Sonny followed suit and retreated. He turned to go after saying, I don't want to cause more trouble. Lucas, however, trailed him to the exit. Sonny remained silent when he said, I will call the police if you ever approach him again. Silently, he disappeared into the corridor. Tensed and anxious, Lucas glanced to Marco. Didn't he come here to threaten you? Marco gave a headshake. No. Lucas, you looked shocked. And I didn't tell the cops anything, Lucas said. Why not? Marco let out a sigh. Because nobody benefits from getting involved in their war. For the time being, I would want to keep things quiet. Lucas gulped hard, obviously torn, but he nodded after a while. It's your call. Marco nodded and said, just promise me you'll be careful. Lucas stayed for a moment before leaving, his mind obviously racing with 100 worries. I just need some rest now. Later, Sonny discovered a frantic, intense Carly pacing her office. Sonny advised you to speak with your brother. Carly collapsed on a chair and said, he's unraveling. We simply got it out. I gave my soul to you, he believes. Perhaps I have. Sonny's forehead wrinkled. Carly muttered, I know. I never wanted to get in the way of you two. But Lucas now sees it that way. Everything seems to him in black and white. Marco, too? After giving it some thought, Sonny remarked, perhaps I should keep quiet for a bit. Marco has become his entire world. Stay away. Carly shook her head. That isn't the solution. Lucas needs to realize that you play a role in my life. whether he likes it or not. Christina was lounging on a lounger on the pool deck when she noticed Cody close by. She raised an eyebrow as she walked toward him. Ava here? Cody laughed. No. She's at the wedding of Willow and Drew. Most likely with Rick. Christina stiffened. Fantastic. That snake creeping among the seats is exactly what that event needs. Calm down, Cody remarked. At the gallery, they got into a heated disagreement. I think I'll be the next to win Ava over. Christina rolled her eyes and left after saw Michael coming. She gestured for him to come closer. Hey, I received your text. What is going on? She inquired. He grinned. They snatched up a table and Christina sighed, saying, Today is Drew and Willow's wedding. I'm sorry, Willow. She will wake up one day and discover that she exchanged her brother, the love of her life, for a fantasy. Molly was sitting by the pool, reading a hefty novel while wearing sunglasses, a wide-brimmed hat, and long sleeves. Cody sank onto a chair next to her. Molly deadpanned, You look like you're getting ready for an eclipse. I have a UV allergy. He grinned and said, Or at least I treat them like I am. Do you know what heat stroke is? She exhaled dramatically as she removed the top layer, exposing a sleek bikini underneath. Cody took a second look. I was hoping for a Victorian bathing suit. I'm sorry, Molly taunted. She gave it to him after applying a generous amount of sunscreen. SPF 100. Do you want any? Melanoma is not a pretty sight, I assure you. He accepted it with a shrug. He turned and said, I guess I'll let you save my life. Is your mind protecting me? Molly complied after hesitating. Christina squinted her eyes as she watched from the other side of the pool. Astonishing, she whispered. Michael looked after her. It appears that something is happening. Christina turned abruptly to face him. Please divert Cody's attention. Michael went over to the two and requested Cody to speak to him privately. Just get him away from her for a minute. Curious, Molly glanced up and noticed Christina sitting down. What's happening? Molly inquired with her sister. Christina wasted no time. I assumed you had no interest in Cody. I don't, Molly answered. Does he know that, then? Because he might be getting ideas from that little massage of sunscreen. Molly appeared defensive. Christina leaned in and said, I wasn't writing him a love letter, I was giving him a health lecture. Cody is known for something. Yes, he is charming. However, he is seeking financial gain rather than a soul mate. He also targets attractive, wealthy ladies. Does that sound familiar? Molly put her arms together. Christina, I work as a civil servant. With me, there's no payday. Christina scowled. Molly turned her head away and said, I'm just saying, you don't want to get hurt. Noted. Lucy returned to Windmere to see how Sidwell was doing. She added with a smile, I'm officiating Drew and Willow's wedding. Want to accompany me? Sidwell gave a headshake. Lucy scowled and said, Thanks, but I declined the invitation. Why? There is too much friction between Sunny and me. Furthermore, I don't want my son involved in any of it. Lucy nodded sympathetically, I'm stepping away, from politics, from Measure C, from everything. I ought to leave. It's unfortunate, though, since I believe you would have enjoyed yourself. Sidwell gave a small smile. Perhaps next time. Last-minute arrangements were being made at the chapel. Kai and Drew, both wearing tuxedos, stood next to each other. Liz assured them that everything was proceeding according to plan. Scout smiled up at her father as Alexis accompanied her inside. Willow has a princess-like appearance, Drew smiled. Then I must be the prince. Albrecht ran at him nearby. Willow is the only reason I am here. Drew's expression stiffened. Let's not act like I condone you taking her from your nephew. Liz yanked Albrecht away in a hurry. This isn't the right moment. Albrecht shrugged. It slipped out. Rick, in the meantime, walked up to Liz with a suave smile. She blinked, saying, "You look gorgeous." "Are you present?" he said. "I was invited. However, I would much rather dance with you later. Just as friends." Eva, clearly irritated, observed the conversation from a distance. Albrecht went to her side. "The bar is open," she declared. Eva whispered, "I'll need it. It might take the edge off." She cornered Alexis later. "Next week, we must meet. In private. Just the two of us." Nina confronted Willow in the bridal room. "You and Drew shared a bed?" Willow shook with rage and demanded. As Nina revealed the truth, tears fell from her eyes. "I had no idea it would become something. It began in April of last year." Willow's face fell apart as she tried to piece it all together. She had been repeatedly deceived by Nina. Willow said, "You could have prevented me from falling in love with a lie. However, you didn't." Nina sobbed, "You saw me walk into this." Willow remarked, "You were protecting yourself, and I was trying to protect you, in my own way." Willow interrupted Nina as she begged, "And now I've lost everything. Motherhood wasn't your calling." She threw Nina out of the room and slammed the door, suggesting that Nellie was fortunate to have died unaware of the truth. Then, broken and hollow, she gazed at her reflection. The visitors fell silent as Lucy took her position in the chapel. Albrecht turned to watch Nina return sobbing, perplexed. Nina said, "There won't be a wedding." But then the music started. The doors were opened. And there was Willow, a bride heading toward a future she no longer believed in, her face expressionless, her steps robotic. "I'm calling in some backup just in case." According to spoilers, Dante will question Danny. What is the lead detective of the Port Charles Police Department looking for in a well-known mob enforcer's son? Naturally, Danny is also Rocco's closest friend and virtual stepbrother. Felicia offers Lucas, who is still dealing with his sister Carly's continued tolerance of her ex-husband Sonny's illegal actions, counseling in the hospital. "I can't ignore this any longer," he says Felicia. Will Felicia have the understanding he needs to accept his sister's decisions? Emma and Gio come up with a strategy since Emma is determined to find out the truth about Professor Dalton. As her dog Outback growls in support, she informs Gio, "Just in case, I'm calling in some backup." According to the lowdown spoilers, Alexis is seeking answers, but who will she turn to obtain them? Is it Christina, her daughter? Christina looks perplexed and inquires, "What happened? What do they hope to learn more about? Is this about Molly and Cody, or is it about Scout's father, Drew?" To provide Joss and Vaughn with an update on the issue, Brennan summons them to his WSB office. Brennan informs them that Dalton is no longer the main objective. What are they going to do next, if that is indeed the case? "What conduct are you referring to?" Sonny inquires. With whom is Sonny conversing? Is this about something, or someone else, or could he be having a heart-to-heart with his son, Dante, who has been concerned about Rocco contacting Liesl Albrecht? Jason tells Anna everything he's discovered so far and expresses his suspicions that Britt might still be alive. "I need you to confirm that what I saw is real." Will Anna put the pieces together to reach the same conclusion as Jason? When Britt opens the door, she is still abroad, but is it Tomas or someone else? "I'm not leaving," the man assures Britt. What is she going to do next? The long-term plan of Drew, Jason's shows no Britt cremation. While Jason Morgan's visit to the mortuary provided evidence that Britt Westbourne was not cremated, Drew Kane adopted a long-term plan. Stella Henry was at Curtis Ashford's office seeking explanations for the breakup between Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor. Stella urged Curtis to at least avoid her company because he couldn't reveal that and didn't support her intentions for a reunion through matchmaking. Willow Tate tried to make a plea rather than demands at the Quartermaine mansion, claiming she was coming to apologize for her prior actions. Eventually, Michael Corinthos mentioned Willow's trip to the German clinic and vowed that he was never informed of her presence. When Willow realized that Drew must have ruined her attempt to reach a compromise with Michael, she finally understood why the receptionist would lie. Willow hoped they could find common ground now that they were alone together in a room. Willow went into yet another sobbing fit when Michael insisted on following the judge's decision, demonstrating why he was correct to keep her at a remove. It was obvious that Willow needed to recover before she could once again be a good mother. Willow, however, was unable to see things Michael's way, so she stomped off after warning that she would never forget this. At home, Anna Devane pushed for a later dog schedule meeting, but Emma Scorpio Drake left her grandmother worried since she was too busy getting ready for something involving Professor Henry Hank Dalton. Dante Falconeri, who Anna had called, had an uneasy encounter with Giovanni Gio Palmieri, who was also present. Dante and Anna talked about the video that showed the lady Jocelyn Jax was pursuing at the Metro Court, where Dalton was staying, after Gio and Emma left without back. Anna was certain that there was a connection and was concerned that Emma may discover a high-security operation that could result in her death. Dante agreed to continue looking for Anna since she needed to know what Dalton was up to. As they performed their love act at the pool, Vaughn gave Jocelyn a massage, but they were talking about WSB business. Joss and Vaughn thought about what that meant when the tracker went black before the signal returned 3 hours later. The tracker might have been in a place that prevented it from working, but it might also have been discovered and turned back on to attract the attention of the person keeping an eye on things. Carly Spencer insisted on having a quiet conversation with her daughter after observing Jocelyn appearing to get friendly with Vaughn. Jocelyn accompanied Carly to her office, where she confronted her mother's worries about Vaughn matching her up against Emma. But Jocelyn pretended that Vaughn was a good man and blamed Emma. Joss also hinted that they weren't exclusive and said that, following the year she'd had, this casual affair was just what she needed. Michael was concerned that Carly might never recover enough to be around the kids after he located her and told her about Willow's most recent tantrum. Jason arrived at Elizabeth Baldwin's house and asked if she wanted him to wait outside or eject Drew. Jason acknowledged that he required Liz's assistance in examining GH documents pertaining to the whereabouts of the morgue bodies after Drew voluntarily left. Elizabeth was assured that this had nothing to do with Sonny Corinthos' company and was informed that it was a personal problem. Jason assured Liz that if she was caught, she would not lose her job. After displaying the 2022 to 2024 timeline that Jason had asked for, Elizabeth left him alone with her laptop. Jason noticed that Britt's body was purportedly sent to Lauren's mortuary after entering her name. When Jason finally visited and discussed Britt's cremation with a staff member, the staff member saw that there was no documentation of the time and date of the cremation. Jason obtained additional evidence that Britt was still alive, despite the employee's assumption that it was a straightforward error. Elizabeth realized she needed to find a method to appear more stable after Willow came back to her and told her about her most recent terrible visit from Michael. When Outback leaped on Vaughn back at the pool, he gave the dog back to Emma and hoped that Jocelyn's incident would not cause any resentment. Emma pretended that Vaughn was the ideal match for Joss and maintained that she was all right. Emma later told Gio that she had been attempting to avoid Vaughn because she had stolen his master key. Jocelyn also met up with Vaughn again, and he surprised her by telling her that they were being removed from their current investigation. Drew approached Martin Gray at a table by the pool and told him that Curtis was the one who had blabbed to Willow before to the wedding. Curtis inquired whether he was willing to provide him the blackmail data on Portia Robinson when Drew finally sat down with him and pressed for a truce. Drew went back to Martin after pretending he was amenable to that. When Martin brought up Stella's insider work to resolve his insurance issues, Drew appeared interested. Martin was taken aback by Drew's insistence on a truce with Curtis, but Drew grinned at the prospect of taking his retribution slowly. Since his flight back, Jason had been agitated. The trip that was meant to be routine, protecting Sasha and Daisy as they left Port Charles in silence while Robert watched over them, had become far more confusing. He rarely let his instincts fail him since they had been refined by years of living in peril. And those instincts had come alive on that aircraft ride home like they hadn't in months. There was no talk from the man sitting next to him. He didn't have to. There was something about his demeanor that alarmed Jason, such as his subtly vigilant demeanor and his sidelong glances when Jason wasn't staring at him. Whether it was the tiny hesitation before responding to the flight attendant's straightforward inquiry, the faint scar behind the man's left ear, or the fact that the man never once turned on the overhead light, read, or slept, just sat there, serene and too aware, he wasn't sure what gave it away. The experience was pushed to the back of Jason's mind. But those alarms didn't go off again until a few days later, by the Metro Court pool. Before dinner, Jason let his kid release some pent-up energy by taking Danny swimming in the afternoon. He saw the same man again as Jason leaned against the railing and spoke to Carly as Danny swam with buddies. He was nursing a drink that he hardly touched while sitting by himself beneath an umbrella. However, he wasn't observing Jason this time. He was staring at Rocco. A beach ball that had rolled near the man's lounger was being chased by the child. Jason noticed something familiar in the man's eyes during that brief moment, something protective, watchful, and calculating. It wasn't casual, but it wasn't predatory either. It brought up memories of Jason watching Britt from the shadows when she was weak and attempting to disguise it. Then, like ice, a thought sliced through him. Was Britt related to this man? The question took root. Carly had dismissed his prior suspicions, claiming that Rocco's innocent inquiries concerning Britt had sparked his pain and recollection. Jason, however, was not persuaded. Particularly right now. It was impossible to overlook the fact that this stranger had appeared in two very different locations, once by accident on a commercial flight, and again in Port Charles, where she was observing a child that Britt had claimed as her own. Britt had acted as though Rocco was hers back when she had fabricated a pregnancy in order to keep Patrick. After a while, the knotted web untangled, revealing the truth: Dante and Lulu owned Rocco. But Britt, and everyone who knew her, had been impacted by that whole arc. Jason recalled the look in her eyes the first time she held Rocco. She wasn't acting like she gave a damn about the baby. What he stood for was what she had desired. A future. Stability. A connection. That similar need had resurfaced years later during her brief but intense relationship with Jason. When they fell in love, Jason noticed a genuine honesty in Britt that he had rarely encountered. When she was with him, she didn't strive to be someone else. She was no longer acting. After a lifetime of emotional control and reticent alliances, their connection had come as a surprise to both of them. The Huntington's disease diagnosis, however, altered everything. Jason had seen her resolutely face the truth, wanting to live her life with some semblance of control over her destiny. She didn't break down. She didn't mope. She assumed leadership. Jason now suspected that one of the decisions she made, some heroic, some heartbreaking, might have involved withholding something huge from him. He was broken by her death. It was only after she was gone that he understood how much he had let her into his life. It was like watching someone he cared about go before his eyes and being helpless to stop it the night the hook attacked, the way Britt fell apart, the way she instinctively protected Jocelyn. The finality of the hospital's quiet, the blood, and the desperation in Liesel's scream had all seemed too real. What if it wasn't real, though? What plans do Gio and Emma have? Emma and Gio then devise a strategy on GH. Felicia gives Lucas advice. Danny is questioned by Dante. Emma is going to get herself into trouble, and Anna fears that she won't be able to escape. She might not be able to rely on things going as smoothly as her previous school if she does get into problems. She was apprehended and banished there, but the specifics were concealed by reliable non-disclosure agreements. Emma will need to be shrewd to avoid another catastrophe like that. The fact that she does possess the master key to the PCU facilities works in her favor. Gio, who has rapidly turned into her ride or die, is another of her. He won't let her handle this on her own. Seek out Emma and Gio to devise a scheme that most likely entails breaking into Dalton's laboratory. Can they actually carry out their plan? Father and son updates. Jason is still obsessed with finding out if Britt is still alive. He merely needs to provide evidence to support his gut feeling that she is. He must also locate others who will validate his intuition and assist him in assembling the puzzle. He turns to Anna, his new favorite adventure companion. Does Anna help Jason come up with a fresh approach when he tells her about his suspicions? Danny, his son, is scheduled to speak with Dante in the meanwhile. Given that Danny first discovered Brooklyn's file, which allowed Rocco to learn about his birth origin tale, Rocco might be the topic of this conversation. What inquiries does Dante intend to make of Danny? In other developments, Felicia gives Lucas advice while Alexis, in Port Charles, finally demands answers. Lucas must still be in shock at Sonny's kidnapping of Marco, his confrontations with Carly, and his refusal to submit to Sonny and Sidwell. He has made it his mission to vent his rage about what happened to the man he is seeing all over the town. Furthermore, he likely objected to Marco's failure to disclose to the police the true cause of his disappearance. What advice will Felicia give Lucas, then? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.